And here we are back in for another edition of Trey's Chow Down Live on Friday. And I'm here with Chef Beto and Chef Beto. That's so funny to me. All right, we're going to talk about some hot topics. We're going to get down to Beto and Son. I guess that's what I tell everybody anyway, Beto and Son, even though they're both chefs. So, okay, guys, February the 8th in Dallas, we have the morning after brunch. It's at the Farmers Market. You can go to our Trey'sChowdown.com, our Facebook, Trey's Chowdown. You can check it out. We partnered with them, and you get a discount of 10% if you want to buy a group of tickets for 4. Then at the end of the month, we have our best burgers coming out in North Texas. And I'm really excited about that because last year it reached 1.4 million people and had almost 500,000 engagements.
Dang.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah. And
very nice.
We featured on Fox. We featured on ABC. It was fantastic.
When are you going to do tacos?
Have y'all met the guy from Texas Monthly, taco editor?
I have not met him personally. Met him on social.
I had him on the show. He's a good guy.
Okay.
Good guy. And Tim Love's new restaurant opened up in the Fort Worth Stockyards on top of the new hotel opened up last Friday, Attico. All he's serving is small bites. That's it. Just all small bites. So we'll see how it goes. It's a deal. It's tapas. It's a deal he hasn't ever done before. So he says it's a gamble for him.
I hear it's a beautiful place too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
He went all out.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And a new company has bought a barbecue, and you're doing a barbecue chain in Oklahoma City. It's in national news. They're going to their holdings did $95 million last year, and they decided to get in the barbecue business. They bought a barbecue chain. They're putting the first one in Oklahoma City. I don't know. And they're from Minneapolis.
Uh-oh. Interesting.
Yeah, crazy. And last but not least, Blaze Pizza has a new crust, keto crust pizza.
Keto crust.
The whole pizza is only 6 grams of carbs.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you know what the
I don't know. I don't know. They just sent me a deal and some pictures on it.
Keto crust. I mean,
they said they're having a hard time keeping it in stock.
I can imagine.
Well, that's big. It's a big diet right now.
It is.
Everybody's in it.
Yeah. Don't not for that margarita y'all have over there. That wouldn't work.
No, that's for sure.
Okay, guys. Man, thanks a lot for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah.
So Beto and Son, just real quick, before I want to introduce you, you're both chefs.
Yes.
How old are you? I didn't ever ask you that.
26.
26.
Yep.
And when did you start? When you decided you told me the story one time, but I'm going to ask him.
Okay.
When did you decide you wanted to be a chef?
When I was 14, so he had a little taco shop called Petra up in McKinney, and I kind of just decided, you know what, like Dad, like I want to be a chef. And at 14, you don't really know how it all works, you know. So I just
and that's what I knew.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started off. Where are you from originally?
Originally from Durango, Mexico.
Okay.
And been here since I was 12 years old. Grew up in Texas, but putting myself through college. Actually was pursuing business at the time, and wasn't sure what. I hated it. I just wanted to do something. My mother kind of say, "You got to go to college." So I went. So I was putting myself through college, working in restaurants. Cooking, waiting tables. And for me, it was fun. It was awesome. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed, seeing people enjoy food, and I loved cooking it. And then all of a sudden, I met my wife now, and she took me to a little trip to New York and introduced me to the culinary school over there.
Oh,
and which I have never heard about it.
CIA.
Yeah. I never heard about it, so it was all new for me. I was like, I didn't even know that existed. Obviously in the Latin community, being a chef was not a big thing back then. Back then, it was like nothing.
Yeah.
And
now they're sought after. And now they're sought after.
Yes, I know. So I went over there and I said, like, what do you got to do to be here? I mean, so I started kind of researching and finding out what you had to do, and they told me, and next year I was there.
So you did go. So you went to culinary school.
I went to the CIA.
Okay, that I never asked you. As many times I've been in your restaurant, I never asked you.
Yeah, I'm legit.
A lot of guys are self-taught nowadays.
It's common now.
But your road is an extensive one, which is a neat deal.
Yeah.
So you did that. So you went to culinary school, and then you landed up. Where after that? Where'd you go?
Hilton International actually gave me a scholarship for my last semester. And they hired me too. They had a little spot up in California, in Ojai. It was called Ojai and Valley Inn Country Club. And it was all European chefs. I was, working with them. It was great because it was like being in the culinary.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of experience.
Yeah, it was like we could create menus every week. I mean, they gave us anything we wanted from any part of the world.
Yeah.
So it was like I never left the culinary. So, so it was nice.
You know, it's funny you said that because John Teaser, they did a chef's panel for Farmers Market, and I was there, and people were asking them questions, and I found it very interesting because, first of all, the questions people are asking, people are getting so much more intelligent with their questions nowadays about culinary and about restaurants and even about craft cocktails because of all the social media.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they asked Teaser a question. They said, how come all your new concepts, he's opened up 2 more this year. He said, how come your new concepts are all with hotels, Marriott and other hotels? He said, I'll tell you why. And he said, that's where I think the trend's going because they have more money.
Yep.
They have unlimited budgets and they want to attract people to the hotel.
Correct.
So they can open up a restaurant. The budget's unlimited. They can create new dishes that they don't sell. They can do, and so it's a whole different aspect.
Yeah, it is. It
Make
is.
money
And-
on the guests. Not the
Yeah,
Yes.
so I mean, I was having a lot of fun there. I mean, I loved it, and then all of a sudden, this guy called Phil Romano calls me.
That's
and he wants to open a restaurant.
When Phil Romano called you, what year was that?
That was 1993.
1993. Okay.
Yeah, and so we created a little concept called Cosamels,
Right.
which Brinker got interested in it, and obviously at the time Phil was on fire with the Macaroni Grill,
Right.
And so he was like the golden boy for Brinker International.
Yep.
So he was on fire. So they bought us like a year later, and so we became a corporate chef for them.
So did you create the Cosmo concept, or did he buy the concept?
No, we created it.
Okay, you created it.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I did
fantastic.
all the food, the menu, everything.
I told you I
from
loved
scratch.
that was one of my favorite concepts. I
Thank
really
you.
liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I told you visited one in Grapevine
Yeah.
all the time.
There's a few fans out there.
Yeah,
still out there.
yeah. There's probably a lot you just don't realize it because
Yeah.
there's so many restaurants now.
Right.
Like
Right.
Beto and Sons and Trinity Groves.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how were you when you had him?
Oh gosh, I think it was on my 30s.
30th. Okay.
Yeah.
And you were back here. You were back here in DFW when you
Yes.
were born?
Yeah.
Okay.
We.
No, you was in San Antonio.
I was in San Antonio
Yeah. So in
doing-
'93 when he opened Cozy Mel's, that was when I was born
Okay.
too.
So that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, we were in California. Obviously, I said yes to the
Sure.
offer from Phil. So we came and we started in San Antonio, and that's where he was born.
Yep.
And
What? I have a question for you. When you developed Cozumel, what was your most defining moment in that chain in opening up that restaurant for you? What was the thing you remember the most about creating a concept?
the thing that I remember the most creating that concept, it was the challenge, because up to this point I was working with chefs
Yeah.
that knew what the sauce was, all the utensils. I didn't have to write a recipe step by step
Right.
for them. Now I was dealing with line cooks who they just try to make a living.
They're doing what you tell them to do.
Yes,
Right,
exactly.
right.
But you tell them, grab a saucier pot and make a sauce, make a bechamel, a tomato sauce. They say, well, where do I do that? What do I get?
What's a
You mean
sauce
salsa?
pot?
Yeah. And saute. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Sauteing. So I was, so all of a sudden I was into a casual dining atmosphere.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the, these guys didn't, they were not chefs. They just want to make a living.
Right.
So I had to go back and write everything step by step. Exactly, take pictures and show them exactly what I wanted to do. So it was a whole training for them and for me.
Basically, you're starting under the ground because,
Yeah.
like when we used to own our restaurants, anytime we bought a new franchise or opened a new franchise up, you're really starting below because you have to train yourself,
Yeah.
Right.
educate yourself,
Yeah.
then write all that, and
Yep.
then train them to do it. So you got to dig yourself out of a hole, kind
Yes.
of.
Exactly.
Very much,
Yeah.
very
So
much.
because I come from, like I said, at the hotel where I was working, it was like being at the culinary. Everybody wanted, we're a graduate chef. Everybody wanted to be a chef. Everybody knew what the basics of cooking
Yeah.
was. And here, nobody. I mean, it's like, what do you want me to do? But you have to show them the recipe, pictures, and step by step of how to do everything. So it was a huge learning curve for me.
It was learning, but it's education for you because once you learned
yeah.
there, you could take it, apply it,
Anywhere.
and which you did, obviously.
Yes. And actually, that's kind of been the discipline that we have had from the beginning.
Yeah, that's good especially for what you do now.
Yes.
Yep.
What was the thing that you enjoyed the most about creating a concept? Because that's a big deal. When you create a concept, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
Especially successful concept.
yes,
let's say.
and yeah, it was because actually, Cozumel was just opening for dinner, and from the beginning, since we opened the door, I mean, as soon as we opened at 5:00, there was a line.
Yeah. When you had some pretty high profile guests too.
Yeah. I mean, we were
like the barbecue restaurants now.
Yes. We were like on the foot of the Dominion over in San Antonio,
Yeah.
you know, in Leon Springs. And I mean, I heard from George Strait, Reba,
Oh
McIntyre.
yeah. George has a big house there on the hill.
Yeah,
What when you said he was going to go to San Antonio? There's every Mexican restaurant in the world in San Antonio. Did you think that was crazy?
It was a little crazy. I asked Phil, I said, why do you want to open a Mexican restaurant in San Antonio? I mean, that's
Why
one
are you
in every
bringing
corner.
sand to the seashore?
Yeah, and the guy says, well, you're from out of town. Nobody knows you. You can bring something different to the table. And that's what I did.
But Cozumel was more of it wasn't only Spanish, but it was a Mediterranean Spanish or something, wasn't
Well,
it?
it was more of a coastal.
Yeah.
Coastal, yeah.
We did a lot of seafood. It was heavy on seafood.
Yeah.
But I think it was before its time. I think people were not quite there. But I mean, we had success. But I think yes, people didn't quite understand it because I mean they're used to more of their yellow cheese, and I obviously I never serve Tex-Mex.
Right.
I put my uniqueness of Mexican food with some coastal flavors. So.
And I hate that word Tex-Mex. That word Tex-Mex is drummed up by a marketing guy, and I hate that word.
I know, right?
I don't like that word at all.
Yeah.
I'm a positive guy. I just don't like that word.
Yeah.
I just think it puts a bad spin on the food.
Right. No, but I mean that's that you're right, and because I mean there's some great Mexican food out there that I mean it's unique to Texas.
Right.
And that there's some awesome flavors that can, that's awesome. I mean, you cannot downgrade it. You're right when you say Texas.
Yeah, it seems cheaper to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not to play on anybody's concept. It just seems cheaper to me.
Yeah.
I think Cozumel was the first place I had guacamole made at my table side.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really think it was.
Yes, it
was. I mean, how long was that? 25 years ago?
26 years ago.
26 years ago.
It's all this age.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I remember having the first time. I thought I was fantastic. Every time I went, I ordered that.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Now a lot of people do. Well, you do it too over there.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes, I do. Of course. It's kind of been my thing. From the beginning.
Yeah. So you were born and you were in San Antonio, and you've kind of been when you were growing up with him. Did you have an interest in what he was doing? Did it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, mainly because I could get the first bite.
Yeah.
If I was in the kitchen with him.
Yeah.
But also, no, I was fascinated. Like kitchens were very familiar place for me. Where I guess for most kids, going to a restaurant, you don't think about stepping foot in the kitchen. For me, it was Dad's back there. I'm gonna go say hi. So
it was a way too for you to get close to your dad.
100%. Yeah. So it definitely like the times that we spent together, and some of the moments that I always will remember as being a young kid were in the kitchen with him. So
I made a post the other day for social media. It was about Jason's Deli, and my dad was friends with a guy. It started in 1976, but my dad loved Jason's Deli. He had 125 restaurants, but he'd go to for lunch, but he wanted to go to Jason's Deli. So, but every time I make a Jason's Deli post, I always refer to that because I remember that the most. Because if I want to go lunch with my dad, I'd either meet him or go to Jason's Deli with him.
Yeah.
And at that time, they had a big menu, and still to this day, as far as a chain restaurant, they're a great concept.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, at their time, like we say 1976, like that was like ground shattering. Like it was so different than any other sandwich shop. Like it wasn't like a Subway. It wasn't like like they were really like elevating the sandwich game.
And like you said earlier, I thought about Jason's Deli because you said some concepts and they get watered down. They get sold. They got to pay. Jason's Deli's man is to keep elevating itself time after time after time again.
And a lot of families grow up with Jason's Deli because I remember taking the kids. Because I mean, it's something that is everything's fresh, and kids have a different selection
and affordable
for them.
Very
affordable. We used to take the kids all the time.
I remember I always get the meatball sandwich. Jason's Deli meatball sandwich.
When you have a big family, there's something to be said when you can go somewhere, something for everybody on the menu. Like you can't take a whole family to eat sushi or do a lot of things. They won't do it.
Right.
So you followed him. So that made that's some of your fondest times. Yeah.
Absolutely. And our family just loved gathering around, kitchen table, that, or even just the stovetop,
Is the Mexican.
No, but that's we've lost that today.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we're going to get it back, but I think that the only way it comes back is through what y'all do at your restaurants, through people blogging, people writing about food, articles, social media, groups come in, and they sit and they drink your incredible margaritas or your food, or your fajitas,
Right.
But I mean, I think, and they talk. Nothing warms the heart or makes friends than a good meal.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and actually, like he said, we always made it a tradition to, like the weekends.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was blessed that I was able to have weekends off and like working in the corporate world. So we always try to have, dinner. Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. That all the kids were there.
Yep.
So that's what we love to do and enjoy cooking for them. And
So corporate chef, you had weekends off.
Yes.
Sometimes or all the time.
Every time.
I have a good friend of mine. He's a corporate chef now. And he loves it because and I've had some of them, like I had the corporate guys for Twin Peaks stuff on there, and they it's a different ball game. So it's cool.
It is.
So when y'all were at home, did you make everything fresh at home like you do?
Yes.
Oh yeah. He would cook, all day, in the kitchen, and then he would come home and make us dinner, at night.
But for me, it's fun. I mean, like I said from the beginning, for me it was.
You enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I mean, that's why when I discovered the culinary, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to do. And so
I tell everybody that's what I think. And I tell everybody, and people I'm sure get tired of to watch my show, but people don't sit in those chairs unless they have passion.
Right.
And I can tell when I see a chef if he's got passion and loves what he does, or if he's doing it for other reasons.
Right.
It's you can tell right up front.
Night and day. Yeah.
Right.
Night and day, and that's. I didn't even know who you. First time I met you, you came out and talked to me. Probably because I was wearing a cowboy hat, but you came out and talked to me, and this is a long time ago. I don't know when it was, a couple years ago, but it was. I mean, I just didn't. You came out, you cared about your business.
Yeah.
I used to tell everybody we had restaurants. You can't run a restaurant from the back of the house.
Right.
You cannot. You can't.
Yeah.
What's important is back there, but what's super important is those customers out front.
Yep. Well, and our favorite thing, like even before having the restaurant, I mean, he's had restaurants, but like us as a family, was inviting as many people to the house as we could, and playing the music that we play at the restaurant, making the drinks, cooking the food. Like we were doing that at our house, before we had the restaurant that we were doing together. So that kind of
the same kind of feel your restaurant has now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that engaging with the guests and giving them food and all that kind of stuff, like we were already doing that at our house. He always taught me when somebody comes over, ask them what they want to drink and ask what they want to eat. Like even if it's not lunch or dinner time, like it was just instilled in us. If someone came to the house, what do you want to drink? What do you want to eat? And like you serve them, that was.
Well, I can tell you this much from the first time before I even knew you, and I always like to go in now people know who I am. So now when I go in, like if I go into restaurants on the weekends, I wear like a flat bill cap, pull it down. I won't wear anything. I'll wear like a surfer's, like a skateboarder's pullover and stuff. Because I don't want them to know who I am. Because I want to experience a restaurant firsthand. Yeah. Without knowing them, without anything. But from the first time I went to y'all's restaurant, y'all have a lot of staff.
Yeah.
Y'all have your customer service is your number one deal.
Absolutely.
And that was impressive to me before I even met you. I mean, I see 4, 5, 10, 20 walk by.
Yeah.
You don't want for anything at your restaurant.
No. That's the goal.
Which is important. It gives you not only does it have you a good feel, but it gives you a good personal feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean that's what we wanted to do. I mean, make sure the people experience that.
They notice that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, one of the most compliments we get service wise is guests will always say, "Man, I felt like I had 6 or 7 different servers. Like no matter what I needed, like anyone was willing. It wasn't just like the one guy waiting on me and everyone else was like, "You're not my table." Like everyone in the restaurant was like, "Hey, can I get you something? Here's some more water." And I was like, I didn't even know who that person was, but they were refilling my water, chips, salsa, whatever that is.
Yeah. So I mean, you notice in the restaurant. I mean, in the line checking the food coming out is either myself, it's either Julian, or another one of our chefs.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you got to pay attention to what goes to the table.
Yeah. My dad used to say, "Watch it like a hawk."
Yes.
Yeah. Watch it like a hawk.
People love consistency. I mean, because if you come and you have a great margarita or great tacos, and then you get excited about it. You invite your friends, and all of a sudden you come back next time and it's different. And then you say like, "Wait, what happened?"
They'll blow you up on social media, man. It wasn't the same. And consistency.
Consistency.
And they're already driving a long way to get to us. Yeah. I mean, we always say they got to drive past the On the Borders, Mi Cocinas, all the little taco shops on every corner and gas station, because we're like the community that we're in is not necessarily our guest, like the neighborhood right behind us. People are driving, from the suburbs. Yeah.
But you are a destination. That's what I promote Trinity Groves. Matter of fact, I promote it so damn much that I've had people on my social media go, "Hey man, you ever go anywhere but Trinity Groves?" Yeah, I do, but it's a destination. There's lots of stuff to do there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you can if somebody's not from here, they can go to Trinity Groves. They can have an appetizer and a margarita with you. They can go have a little barbecue, listen to some music. They can go have an Italian food. cake bar. I mean,
yes,
it's phenomenal.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
With chocolates. You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, and that actually when we got together and kind of decided to go there and open this little restaurant. You know, I told Julian, I said we gotta go with guns loaded. We gotta give people a reason why to cross that bridge.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, because you're gonna pass 1,000 restaurants on the other side.
Yep.
Why are they coming to us?
And now you got a nice new bridge.
Yes. it is a nice bridge.
You know, y'all were talking about consistency, and of course, you can talk about Ray Kroc and McDonald's, even though it's McDonald's and I don't really eat McDonald's. It's consistency.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I was interviewing Grady Spears for a TV show. You know, Chef Grady Spears, the cowboy chef in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And he's written about a lot of the number one cookbooks and stuff. Very celebrity-sized chef. And I was actually interviewing him. We were on camera for Fourth Magazine, and this guy, one of the servers, walked out of the kitchen with the plates in his hand, and Grady was standing here, and Grady stuck his arm out. He was talking to me, but stuck his arm out and stopped him. He said, "Come here." And he said, "There's no salt on those dishes." And he said, "What?" And he said, "There's no salt." So Grady went and got, put salt with his hands, put salt, or he had gloves on, but put salt on there. He saw that out of the corner of his eye.
Wow. Like just as the guy was walking.
That's what he said,
Yeah.
consistency.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. So and then that's why we did. I mean, it was like trying to give you something unique, something different. I mean, because, like there's, thousands of Mexican restaurants out there. Why would you come to Beto and Son?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why we try to set ourselves apart, and give you something a little more exciting, that
Experiential.
I mean, it's common. It's something that you understand, but it's give it to you with a twist.
I'll tell you why. Award-winning margaritas, award-winning fajitas, all kinds of stuff. That's why you go to Beto and Son.
For sure.
Okay, so did you go to culinary school?
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
where'd you go?
So I went to the CIA as well, but I went to
Okay.
the one in San Antonio.
Okay, I didn't know they had one in San Antonio.
Yeah, so there's East Coast, West Coast, and Central. So you got obviously New York. Everybody
Right.
knows that one.
Everybody-
you got
yeah.
the Napa one in Greystone. Yeah.
all the same price?
Yes.
Yes, except when I went to the San Antonio one, it was in like they were I don't think they were even 5 years old yet, so they were a little more incentives to go to that one because they were trying to kind of get it off the ground.
Sure.
Now, I mean, they're packed and crazy, but there were more incentives.
Do
to
you
go
learn
there.
the exact same thing, or do you learn
Yeah.
things different? Okay.
All of
Same
our
basics.
chefs that we
Okay.
had came from New York, so I mean, we're literally the same chefs that were teaching in New York were teaching on that
Okay.
campus. Yeah.
Basics.
Yeah, it's all the same curriculum. You buy the same books,
Yeah.
same classes, all that stuff.
What
Just-
was did you go to work with your dad as soon as you got out, or did you
No, actually, so I went to actually Ritz-Carlton, and I
Okay.
worked for Dean Ferring for a little while.
Oh, boy.
yeah,
That's somebody good to work for.
I love Dean. Man,
He's a nice guy,
he is
isn't he?
the nicest guy. And I was
Talented.
Yes.
I was like
Yeah. He's
staging
been
and
around.
like interning at that at his
That's
restaurant.
awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and this was like before I was like there full time, and he was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I said Julian, and he's, "I'm gonna call you Big J," and I was like, "All right." And he says, he's like, "Big J, what do you think about the food here?" He's like, and I was making some things, and I think I was prepping a sauce, and he's like, "Hey, tell me what you think about that sauce. Would you do anything different?" And I was blown away that a guy like Dean Ferring would
Yeah.
ask a little culinary grad like me, like, what do I thought and what would I do? And it was just the humility that he had, and just like the passion just to be in the restaurant, be around food and that kind of thing. I was like, I just want to take that with me everywhere I go, So anyways, I did Ritz-Carlton, worked for Dean Ferring. And then I went and actually
You learned
started
a lot there. What was your favorite thing about working for Dean Ferring? The most memorable thing.
most memorable thing?
You might have just said it. I don't know, but
Well, I mean, that was probably the most memorable. But however, there was a few things. The time he let me kind of do the amuse bouche for like a Saturday night, it was a pretty big deal for me. Yeah,
that'd be a big deal.
And then
On the
also
spot.
he took me to a bunch of his private caterings. And that was really exciting because there was only about 3 people that he would take,
That's
and
neat.
I got to be one of them, which like really felt good.
Makes you feel good.
Yeah. So
I think it makes it gives you accolades. It makes you feel better.
Yep.
If a person beats you down all the time,
man.
it's hard to keep trying to step your game up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, he's totally polar opposite than what the old school traditional chef was. I went and did corporate a little bit because he always kind of had done corporate, and so I was like, I want to get some experience in that. So I actually worked for Denny's for a little while too.
Yeah.
And then from there, I got hired actually here in Fort Worth, a soup and sauce company called CTI Foods. They make Jason's Deli soups, Panera Bread, Chili's queso. I mean, they do all these different soups and sauces and stuff. So it was kind of more food science.
Did you create stuff there?
Yeah.
Oh, neat. Okay.
So I developed a dressing for Pei Wei. They have like an
neat.
avocado
I like Pei Wei, by the
ahi. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just consistency.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we did that. Did some different soups for some different brands. Actually, I got to present to him. He was at Chili's at the time, and so I got
awesome.
to present to him
That's
and
right,
his
you're
team.
Chili's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like?
It was fun. It was fun.
But you must have been proud.
Oh, of course, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, it was great. Like I said, now he was kind of on his starting road of becoming his own chef, be his own self chef, and he was creating. He was working with some great people. I mean, I know some of the guys that he was working with, so it was exciting to see him in action.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you did that.
Yeah, so did that, and then it was at that point that we got the opportunity to do Beto and Sons. So.
Okay, so where did the ideal come from? Well, I know where the name came from, Beto and Sons, but where did the actual ideal come from?
Well, actually, the funny thing is, I was working at Chili's. I mean, I was R&D, chef, and I was working on some product, and all of a sudden, I get a call and they say, "Hey, this is Phil." And I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "Hey, I'm just trying to make a living here." And he just kind of cracks up and I say, "Hey, I want to talk to you. You have a little opportunity. So over here at Trinity Groves, if you're interested." So.
The rest is history.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of hesitant because I mean I know how long what a hard time it is to open up a restaurant.
Because you did it.
I done
with
it before.
Phil.
Yes. Exactly.
And at that point, it's going to be all you. Phil's not going to do much.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I'm thinking, I said, do I really want to put myself through this again?
Here we go.
Yeah. And I was like pushing him so hard. I was like, Dad.
I pitched it to him and I say, "What do you think, buddy?" And
okay, so hang on. So when you went to talk to him, what was your first? Was it just like a hell yeah, let's do it?
Yeah. Well, so I remember I was actually doing a grocery run because I had a presentation the next day, and so I was at Central Market in South Lake, and he calls me on the phone and he's like, "Hey, guess what?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Phil Romano called," and I'm like, "That's crazy." Like, okay.
30, 25 years later, whatever.
Yeah, and I was like, "Well, what did he want?" And he's like, "Well, he asked, if we'd be willing to do like a Mexican restaurant at Trinity Groves." And I was like, "Well, we got to do it."
I know.
And I was already telling him, I was like, "Dad, like, here's some things we can do. We can do some molecular gastronomy and all this different stuff."
Age difference.
Yeah. And I was like, "Well, no, okay, wait, buddy. You have to think about this." I say, it's opening a restaurant is not like, okay, you cannot change your mind in the middle of the road. I say it's like having a baby.
Right.
You cannot give it back.
Yeah. Sometimes a baby with problems.
Yes, exactly. So once you cannot give it back, once you say yes, we're in it. Yep. We're in it for the long term.
Yep. It's kind of funny because that just reminded me of the old bull, young bull story. I watch them, I raise them, I watch what they do. It's really funny. Old bull takes his time, young bull runs around in circles, smashes into everything.
Come on, Dad, we got to do it. We got to do it. Yeah.
That's so funny.
And he didn't let it go. He says, "Are we going to do it? Are we going to do it?"
Well, and his wife, my mom, was like totally against it too because she was like, "Oh my gosh, like he worked for a great company, been there for a long time,
benefits,
benefits, weekends, holidays,
corporate chef."
Oh yeah, I mean, she was like, "Why would we leave like the dream chef job? Like we get off weekends and holidays, and you want to like go work full time and potentially make less money and stress the entire family, she was just going through her head like this doesn't make any sense.
She's been through the whole process too.
Exactly. Yes, a couple of times.
Yes. Okay, at that point, it's that because if you like the one I'm with, I really respect her. So at that point, you have to take everything. You have to weigh everything in consideration, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a barometer because everybody's been through the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny. So what was the thing? What was the defining moment that made you say, "Okay, we're going to do it"? Was there any one thing, or was it a combination?
I think he's actually just feeling his excitement about it. I mean, that he wanted to do it, really bad, and he'd
be there to help you, support you.
And also, as I started processing the whole thing, I said this would give him a great opportunity to be introduced to the entrepreneurs like Phil Romano and things like that, and see the business from a total different perspective.
Right.
And I said, I think it would be kind of fun, and as good or bad, I said, look, I think if we can go there, guns loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, we can make a good run for it.
Yeah.
What you said is true because that's the experience you need. Because I tell everybody now, there's a difference between a cook and a great chef.
Yep. Truth.
And a great chef that knows can run a restaurant. He's very well rounded.
Yep.
He can know the numbers. You can't just run the back of the house.
Right.
You got to know the numbers. You have to know the business aspect, entrepreneurship,
Yep.
front of the house, back of the house, top, bottom,
marketing,
side, everything. Marketing, social media, huge.
Yeah.
And at all plays, if you want to do it, it's like a merry-go-round. You got to be able to get and go all the way around if you're going to be successful.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you got to pay people to do it, and sometimes it don't work because there's not enough money to do that.
Yeah, and have the right people on those positions to do it right, because sometimes you just don't have the one who's actually PR in the right way.
Yep.
Yeah. Granddad used to say, hire the people that can do the job, trust them to do it, and let them do it. You got to trust them. But nowadays it's really hard.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's because there's just so much wishy-washy stuff that goes on. You know? So you got to be careful.
So you got to know a little bit about it
Yeah.
yourself.
See, and if you know a little bit about it, then you know, hey, no, that dog's not going to hunt. You know that for a fact.
Right. Yeah.
So the defining moment. So how did you create the menu?
We had honestly that was one of the most fun things.
You both laughed.
Yeah, well, because
was there any fights or anything?
No.
Okay.
We had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, when it comes to creating the menu, so it's interesting going into business with your family, right? Because I know him as my dad and he knows me as his son, right? And now we have to see each other as business partners, right? Which is easy for me to respect him as a business partner.
If you respect each other, it is.
Right, because I respect him as a father.
Sure.
It goes the other way, though, too, because, now he has to also see me as a business partner, not just a son. And so, and now we're at work, we're equals, but then, at home, I got to remember I'm still the son. Like, there's those balance that you have to play. And so...
And every personality can't do that, right?
Right.
That's hard. So it's the fact you did it. But anyway, go ahead.
So anyways, when we were deciding the menu, she has so much experience, so I wasn't going to try to tell him how to build a menu. You know what I mean? I was see what does he want to do? Where is his vision, and how can I complement that? Where can I add little things here and there? And so, I knew he knew how to make, some of the best sauces, that he grew up eating on his, grandparents' farm in Durango, like that his grandmother used to make, right? So I wasn't about to tell him how to make, a mole or whatever. But when it came to like the enchiladas, I was like, hey, instead of rolling them, why don't we stack them? Put a watermelon radish on it, avocado, now it looks fresher. It doesn't look this rich, heavy gravy, melted cheese kind of thing or whatever. And just adding just adding little accents like that. And when I think of food, I think of, how do I make people take, this out?
Instagrammable.
Yes. Every time I put a plate in front of you, I want you to do this. Yeah. And so kind of using that idea with his food, and just kind of like bringing that to the
because
table.
we had the foundation, obviously, because the experience that I have, and I have tested so much food with being almost 20 years with Brinker.
Yeah.
I mean, and
knows what works and what doesn't.
Working on concerts like Cozumel's on the border and Chili's, I have tested so many food that some of them score very well, but obviously the corporate world is a little different,
right.
So they kind of get scared of some things and they don't want to do it.
Yep.
So I had a plethora of stuff
Yeah.
that they had been tested very positively, and I said, like, I can make a whole menu with this stuff.
Sure.
Right.
And a lot of people, the funny thing is, a lot of people ask us, have you been working on this for years? Like, how long did it take you to write the menu? And I think it took us about a week.
Yeah, it literally was a week. Well, I remember one time, like kind of one of his last days in the office, like they were asking him, like, "Hey, so how long you been working on this? Like something you've been, like you said, thinking about for years?" And he's like, "I'm just gonna do everything you guys wouldn't let me do." And everyone was kind of just like, "Whoa."
Yeah, because the corporate world is funny, and this should never. And that's one thing I hate. You don't what you want to test the market on is people eating your food.
Yes.
Right.
Not people sitting behind a desk or a marketing firm or a PR firm
and they have their steps of how to study those studies that they do, and some things are good, but sometimes those handicap you because the way people respond when you have them on a sensory panel. It's totally different than when you're spending your own money.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. Yes.
So.
Yeah, I went to Bonnet for Payway like 6 or 8 months ago in Dallas. They invited me over this deal. And they invited like 30 people over there.
Yeah.
And everybody but me was like 22, 23. And I'm like, they have no experience in the food business. They never even worked at a restaurant. And these people try the food because they put some on Instagram.
And making them a food critic.
And making them a food critic.
Yeah.
And John Teaser sat over there in that chair and he told me, he said, gun owners and Yelper food critics should have background checks before they say anything. That's all he said. I laughed so hard about that.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't want to silence them. I just want everybody to know what they're talking about.
Right.
Know what they're doing.
Yeah. So and that's what happens sometimes. So I mean, I had a lot of food that I had on my repertoire that I said this would go wonderful with what we're trying to do. And and we, like you said, we went through say, okay, what do we want to have? He put his fresh,
spin on it.
Spin on it. And I said, yeah, let's run with this.
I would call that an Instagrammable spin because you laugh, but man, Jesus, nowadays, if it's not Instagrammable, you're not going to go anywhere with it. It's got to be colorful. It's got to be presented good, and then it's got to taste good. People eat with their eyes first.
Well, in my generation, I know for me, there's so, like we've talked about. There's so many restaurants opening. There's so many new places. Like we can't even eat at all the new places, fast enough. So generally, we're like my generation is judging it from their Instagram page and from what other people have taken pictures up on Yelp. I don't generally look at the reviews on Yelp, but I'm always looking at the pictures, because I'm like, is that something that I'm going to want to eat over this other place?
I see some pictures sometimes restaurants post, and I'm like, man, what are y'all doing, man?
Take it down. How
about a little bit of lighting? Just a little bit of lighting. Just a little bit.
No, that's the truth. There's been a few places I'm like, yo, take that picture down.
Dude,
like you don't know what you're doing.
Dark. What is that? Is that rat? Is that something a raccoon just spit out?
Like
you're trying to bring it up and like trying to figure out what it is.
Good night. That's a bad sign.
We've actually developed some really good things from poorly quality photos and being like, is that this or what is this? Like we have an avocado chimichurri sauce that we basically, chimichurri is a kind of oil vinegar type sauce.
Sure, I love it. I love chimichurri sauce. So one of my favorites actually.
We emulsify it with avocados because the avocado you puree it together and now it's emulsified. And it came because we saw a really bad pic of food and we're like, man, it's so weird. It looks like almost like a chimichurri, but like they thicken it with avocado or something. We just kind of looked at each other like, avocado chimichurri, that sounds amazing. So it's interesting. You look at food and you try to make out what it is, and it ends up being something totally different.
We talked about the Instagram thing, and I went to a new opening of a restaurant in Dallas, and they had you go in there and you sit down, and they give everybody lights.
Oh, how interesting!
They give everybody lights. The light stays at the table. They give you a light, so you can take your pictures and you leave the light there when you leave. They furnish you a light.
Is it like a ring light or what?
Yeah, it's like a ring light.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I was like, man, and it was the best lighting.
I'm like,
nice.
Yeah, it was a great. It wasn't expensive. It was LED. I mean, I don't know what that cost them, but if you lose one, they had their name all over it. So if you lose it, big deal.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's just a great idea.
Yeah.
Just thought,
I like that.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, man, I got to remember that. That was neat.
You might see that later.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Next concept.
What's your favorite dish? What was the favorite dish you created for your first, on the menu? What was the one that you thought was going to be the best? Had the best flavor?
Well, I'm sure you know what I'm going to say. Or noodle bowls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's always. I mean, obviously, as a chef, is like. When you think about Mexican food, it's like, okay, fajitas been done so many ways, tacos so many ways,
enchiladas.
Tortas, and I said, what is out there that hasn't been explored and taken to the next level? And I started thinking of a dish that my grandmother used to make for me, and it was fideo. And
you said fideo?
Fideo, yeah. Which is it's a thin spaghetti.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, a lot of people say like, oh my gosh, Mexicans have pasta.
So you do realize they were first taken over by the Spanish and then they were sold to the French, and there's a lot of European influence.
History, man. Bump up on your history.
Exactly.
So it's like, we eat pasta. A little different than you guys do, but we do.
Not with tomato marinara sauce or whatever. But.
So anyway, it's this dish that, I remember my grandmother, frying it on the oil, and obviously I lived on a farm. I grew up in a farm, so
that's awesome.
We raised our chickens. We corn, beans,
fresh.
Everything.
It was farm to table lifestyle before it was a trend here in the United States.
That's what we had. Yeah, in 1905.
Yeah, familiar.
Yeah, so that's how I grew up. We used to go to the well to get our water and things like that. So I remember that dish. I remember my grandmother doing it, and I said, fideo has always, and it's been used on other restaurants, but it's a side dish. It's like rice or beans.
Yeah, when you see fideo on a
there was
menu,
no emphasis put on it.
Exactly. Right. It's literally just noodles in a bowl, like you would get rice in a bowl.
Right. So we started playing with it, and I said, we created, obviously bowls were, it's a big thing, especially for the young generation. So I said, let's call it noodle bowls. And we not call it fideo because, a lot of people are not going to say, what?
Yeah.
Right. Like, what's fideo? Is that like menudo? No, I don't want that.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And very small there it says fideo.
Yeah.
Most people don't see it.
Because, some of them, or Mexican friends, they say, what, this is fideo. It's and sometimes I get criticized. They say, well, this is not how I make it, or this is not how my grandmother used to make it. I say, you're right. I'm a chef. This is my own spin.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But anyway, so that was the dish that we kind of got behind it, and we kind of said, hey, I think we can make it a big thing, a staple for us. And we top it with awesome ingredients like, fresh carnitas, salmon, shrimp
Put a fried egg
diablo,
on top.
Put a fried egg.
Yeah.
because of both y'all's backgrounds, everything y'all do is so fresh. And so the colors, the vegetables are always colorful. I mean, and I know you won't put anything out. I know you won't do it. That's not right. But it just makes a big difference.
And we try to also stay, using some of the community. I mean, because our corn tortillas are made by the small company that is
down the street from
us. It's a local bakery that makes our bread for the tortas. So,
Yeah, it's a those things have gotten popular too.
What
had social media? Why did they get so just bam? They came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like sandwich, like there's a lot of sandwich food porn. I think where
there is.
Like you see like a sandwich like an egg on it, and you see the yolk running through, or just like those big giant burgers.
That's a great picture, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think like. They're also very unique in flavor. Like when you think of tortas, like there's really not another sandwich out there.
Flavor profile.
Yeah, you put in refried beans on the bottom, and they usually have some kind of like pickled slaw, pickled onions, and that kind of thing. So you get that freshness. So it's very different. You can't go like, oh, it's like this or like that. It's very unique.
You talked about fajitas, and I spent a long time doing my fajita article because people say, oh, I like fajitas here, I like fajitas, and they would tell me they like them. I'd be like, man, those fajitas are terrible.
Yeah.
They can butcher fajitas. I mean, it can be so bad.
Yeah.
The grilled onions can be not grilled, burnt
or raw.
The meat can be chewy.
Yes.
Dry. I mean, you can really torch them.
Yes.
It took me a long time to find. I mean, because what's funny is that what I realize is that people who only stay, I told you all this earlier, only stay in a certain range of what they eat. And to them, that's the best thing they ever ate. That's the best thing that I ever ate.
Right.
And they don't venture, they'll venture out once a year, twice a year, three times a year for holidays or anniversary or something. But so you got to sometimes, but they can butcher fajitas bad.
Oh yeah. It's, it's generally, I almost felt like, fajitas, like now I think like people are really doing a good job at them. But it was almost, I felt like an afterthought. They're like, man, we got this meat. It's really tough. It's really chewy. Like if we cut it small enough or whatever and maybe throw it on a sizzling skillet, maybe people will forget how tough and chewy it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was kind of like, how do we create some smoke and mirrors to sell this really cheap stuff or whatever that we're cutting really tiny and putting it in tacos and calling it carne asada or whatever.
And they're also using better meat now too.
Yes,
the
exactly.
thing is, back in the day, my day, I mean, fajitas were really cheap, like 50 cents a pound. Now, a real fajita, which obviously you use the inside skirt.
That's
you're talking about costing you about $11, $12 a pound.
That's so expensive.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I know restaurants out there that use other cuts of meat just because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
But we use nothing but outside skirt. We fabricated ourselves, we marinated ourselves. I mean, everything is handcrafted by us.
Yep.
So where'd you get the idea for that awesome margarita y'all have? Okay, here, let me tell about it. So we'll tell first about the margarita. Basically kind of tell them how it's made.
Yeah, so we have a liquid nitrogen margarita, and in my opinion, the best margaritas are four simple ingredients.
I guarantee it is.
Yeah, four simple ingredients. You have fresh lime juice, agave nectar, a really good orange liqueur like Graminier or Cointreau, and then a really good tequila. I personally went to Mexico to pick out the tequila for this cocktail because I had a very specific flavor profile I was wanting for it. I didn't want it to get washed out because it was so smooth. Some people are like, oh, I just want a smooth tequila, but you put it in a margarita, you can't taste it anymore.
Right.
Like I wanted something that had that nice earthy agave flavor. So we use an 11-month aged custom-made Avion Reposado.
Is that the bottles I see over there?
Oh, yeah.
We use a few.
Yeah. We only go through about a barrel a month. That's all.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. It's 40 cases, 46
Out of
pack
y'all's
cases.
place?
Yeah, and that's just that one. We go through 100 to 120 cases of tequila a month. We're actually the #1 sellers of top shelf tequila in North Texas.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
See what you learned coming here to talk to Trey.
Right?
I can't. That's awesome.
Yeah. But anyways, when you have a frozen margarita, I know for me, like it was kind of it tastes a little cheap, and what I mean by that is in order to freeze a margarita, you have to do one or two things. You put it in a machine, you have to add water because the tequila won't freeze unless it's negative 150 degrees. You put it in a blender, you have to add ice. So either way, you're diluting it and you're watering it down, and you're not getting that full, bold flavor that you should get. I played with liquid nitrogen when I was in culinary school at CIA, and we would make ice cream. And so I remember I was telling him, we got to have some kind of wow moment. There's got to be something that people are like, you got to go to the place with, and they don't maybe not even remember the name, but you got to go to the place with this. And, people are looking it up and all that kind of stuff. Like that was just what was in my head.
Sure.
And at first he was a little hesitant because he's like, no, let's just keep it simple. You're going to have to make all of these,
But you're on two different thought paths.
Exactly. But then he got on board and he helped me develop it and he helped me create it and all that kind of stuff. And we did it together. And basically what's great about liquid nitrogen is negative 300 degrees, so it's cold enough to freeze alcohol. Alcohol freezes at negative 150.
That's what I was going to ask you. Okay, that's how it works. Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is, and it's perfect because once the liquid nitrogen gets up to negative 150, which is still cold, it evaporates. So it's perfect because it freezes the alcohol and evaporates off, making it safe because you can't drink liquid nitrogen. You can only drink the effects. It's like, I tell people, they come in like, oh, is it safe? I'm like, well, you cook with fire, you don't need it. You freeze with liquid nitrogen, you don't drink it. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, it creates this delicious, like almost gelato-like texture,
Exactly
sorbet.
Gelato, it's exactly what it is.
Yes, because there's no water. It's literally just those ingredients, frozen together, and it just melts on your palate, there's no water, so it's stronger, better, more flavor.
I think my girlfriend fell in love with me over those.
There you go.
You're not the first person to tell me that.
No, she was like, oh my gosh, she's a great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got the pure, just the alcohol, a nice fresh lime juice, and the Cointreau.
Yeah.
It's just got a great flavor.
Yeah.
It's evaporated.
It's pure. It's just natural.
How long did it take you to, from start to finish, how long did it take you when you started the idea? How long did it take you to conceive the finished product?
You played quite a while for the recipe.
we did play around with quite a while. I would say we definitely played around with the recipe for about a month. Just going back and forth, how much lime juice, how much, because we realized, without the water dilution, all the flavors were really big. So you have to balance it perfect. Yeah. Because if you don't, it's too limey, it's too boozy, it's too orangey, from the Cointreau or whatever. Yeah. Like you really got to balance it right. And we didn't want to serve this limey sweet cocktail. Yeah. We wanted it to be boozy, like everything you would want in a margarita.
Yeah.
So I think that was the hard part was because also, when you mix all that together and drink it like just liquid, it tastes totally different than when it does at negative temperatures. Like when things cool, when things get hot, the flavors, you pick on your palate. Yeah, absolutely. So we made this like liquid and I was like, oh, this tastes perfect. Then we froze it like, it doesn't taste perfect anymore. So we were having to play around with it quite a while.
Every little thing you do it changes the flavor profile.
Yeah, so it did take a while.
Yeah, but the Nitro Margarita, that's is one of those things that, that's another signature item that we want to bring to the table. Bringing something unique to the Mexican atmosphere of the restaurants. They give you something unique and give you another reason why you come to us.
Even if you've had it before, I've had it, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 times, 10 times.
Yeah.
That's all.
And and no matter how many times I've had it, when we go sit down there, it's still exciting to get it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that product.
Well, so, for me, like young guys, like young people, we love going to clubs and getting the bottle service, and it's not so much for the bottles or whatever, it's because the lights and the sparkling and all the attention's on you. And when that comes to your table, the attention goes to you. Because everybody in the restaurant is like taking their phone out and like videoing your table, getting, so you start to get this feeling of like, man, everybody's like looking at me. It's like kind of that feeling of like special. If you were a celebrity walking in and everybody's like, yo, look who's here, so you kind of get that feeling of like, dang, like everybody's videoing my table. Like this feels good, and it's exciting, it's not something that anybody else is doing.
Yeah, because some people be having you're having the liquid nitro margarita and the guys behind you, they're filming you.
Over your shoulder. They're like,
I watch people's mouths drop. Mouths drop.
Yeah.
They did a study about 6 or 8 months ago. Thank you. They did a study about 6 or 8 months ago, and they found out that people's number one thing they want to do in 2020 and beyond. Thank you. Is chips and salsa. Is experiences with food and cocktails. That's what they want to do.
Yes.
And they prefer to do that than even on a car. Half the study. The study was crazy.
Yeah.
The study was absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And I think that was kind of our thought process was like, you can go about a restaurant one of two ways. You can give somebody a really, really cheap product and be affordable, which is fine. Or you can give them something that's really, really nice and experience and just charge them for it.
Sure.
And people will pay for experience.
Yes, they will.
It's one thing to pay for something that's expensive. It's another thing to pay for an experience. And people are much more willing to give you their wallet for an experience than they are for
it's
just
a good experience.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when you can put it on the gram.
Right.
That makes it even more like,
I can't even imagine how many people have videoed that and put that on. I can't even imagine.
It's I mean, overall, I mean, it's if you combine all of the videos that people have posted, it's millions of views. Because I mean, BuzzFeed came in and posted it, and they got like I think 2 or 3 million by themselves. So
yeah. I was going to say it's just Dallas Fort Worth. Mine had like 30,000 views in just a short few days. But it's crazy.
Yep, exactly. So
it's amazing how many people still haven't seen it. You've been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
it's crazy to me.
Yeah, you know we sell like about 200 a day on average.
Do you really?
Yeah, it's crazy. Blows our minds.
Do your servers ever go, oh, no, not another one?
You know, it's crazy.
No, they love it.
So, because at one point, yes, they did when we first started the restaurant. But then I told them, I was like, you know, when you get a liquid nitrogen, it's $20, right? And generally, our servers do really well, and they average about 20% tips on you know, stuff like that. So they're making $4 per nitro. And so I told them, I was like, if you have a 10 top, and they all get nitros, and it's $4 per nitro, that's $40 just on drinks alone. You know, and so when they did the math in their head, they're like, wait a second. Every time I sell one, I make $4. Like, okay, so if I sell like 10 of these, that's 40, right? You know, like,
well, because they see them make it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot of work to make it.
It is,
and you can't chance on the process.
No.
You can't hurry it up. You can't slow it down. It's got to be the same way all the time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, speaking of that funny story about the liquid nitrogen, I when I first thought of it, I thought Phil was going to be so excited, like, because he loves experiential type things. Like, he's totally about like that whimsicalness. And so I was so excited to show him. I was like, I can't wait. I'm going to show him. He's going to love it. I show it to him, and I love Phil. He was like, you going to do every one of these? And I was like, I mean, if that's what it takes, you know, like, I guess. And he's like, nah, it'll never work. You know, you're going to have to do every one. You're going to be here every day. There's no way. Like, he's like, don't put that on the menu. It'll never work. He's like, just give him a good margarita.
He was coming from the corporate mentality.
Yes. And I understand his mindset. Yeah. So, you know, for the first like 6 months, we had it off the menu so he wouldn't like see it. But I was doing it in the restaurant. Yeah. And one day he saw somebody having it, and he was like, what the hell is that? You know? And he sees all these cameras, and I'm like, Phil, like, you seen how many people post this on social? And I was showing him, and he's like, let me get one of those. He got on board real quick.
Yeah, I bet he did. Yeah, that corporate mentality.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, and I mean, even like our Chihuahua guacamole or margarita. I mean, or even our soup, the way we present our soup and our salads. I mean, it's all a show. You know, an experience.
And I don't want to. And you know, everybody loves Phil. I don't want to. I don't want to make it out to be a bad thing. Because he's very successful.
Absolutely,
and that's what's made him successful.
Yes, absolutely.
But sometimes you have to vary from that corporate mentality a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I was surprised. I thought he was going to be totally on board because that's totally his thing. Like,
he was thinking about money and time.
Right.
Labor.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the labor behind
it was labor.
Yeah. You know, and when
turning tables.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Come on, let's go. You know, but the thing is, again, it's like when we were creating the menu. Again, it's when they asked me, "What are you going to do?" It's, I mean, stuff that, you know, a typical corporation would not go for. But I mean, here, I mean, we're going to show you it can be done.
Right.
You know, if you train your people. Right from the beginning.
Okay, so we got salsa.
Yes.
How y'all make your salsa? Is your salsa smoky? I'm trying to remember.
A little
it's
bit.
roasted.
Roasted,
It's roasted.
Right.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, this is a salsa that he's been eating since
forever.
It's so good though.
Yeah. Because I mean, we were kind of debating what kind of salsa. So you know what, the salsa we make here for everyday eat. It's good. So
it's always colorful and fresh.
Oh yeah,
it's phenomenal. And then this one,
well, you know, we wanted to kind of create something different, something, you know, that it was not a salsa, and as you know, and obviously I said, you know what, you know, we're not gonna create just a bean dip or something like that, because I mean that's anybody can do that.
Gloria's has a great bean dip. You know, like it's already been done.
It's
You know,
been done so many times. So I said, you know, how about black bean hummus? You know, we Mexicanize it. You know, hummus, create a hummus. We Mexicanize it. You know, we add a little spin to it.
Garbanzo beans, black beans.
Black beans. We add a little cilantro pesto on top, just to kind of, you know, accent it.
This one's missing it, but generally,
that's okay. See, I've only been able to talk to you all in the restaurant. When we're in a restaurant, this is why I like to have chefs come in here, because you get to talk about things you would never, because in a rrestaurant, choom, you got this, that.
Right.
You're being pulled 100 different directions, and you want to watch everything.
Right.
Like, you know, you want to keep an eye on everything. And you want to make sure everything's coming out right, doing things are operation in front of the house, back of the house. So it's nice to be able if I sit you two together and talk to you,
Yeah.
I see how well you work together,
Yeah.
and that's what's made Beto and Sons so successful.
It
Right.
is.
Absolutely.
Are y'all going to open up any more?
We're working on some.
I just want to know if you're thinking.
we would like to.
Yeah, we would like to if the opportunity came up to open more. We definitely were open to it. I'm currently working on a concept right now. Hopefully open this year. So
That's good. Okay, that's good. And I know y'all. I know y'all probably just chomp at the bit because y'all work really well together.
Man, we are.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we had, and we've been blessed. We have some great people working with us. A team of people that have helped us. They've been there almost from the beginning.
Yeah.
So that helps out a lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
It makes our life easy.
It does make life easy. You have your well-oiled machine over there. So,
Thank you.
if people want to find Beto and Son, what's the website?
So betoandson.com. It's
Betoandson.com.
Beto, Betoand, not the ampersand. A lot of people do the ampersand sign. It's Betoandson.
Okay.
You can find it at betoandson.com, Beto and Son on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything. It's
all
all the
of
same.
them.
It's all the
All
same.
of
Yeah, exactly.
Trinity Groves, open 7 days a week.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
We're open 7
week?
days a week. We got brunch on Sundays.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been, y'all. I need to come to your brunch.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
We actually just developed a new brunch menu. We got some really, really good stuff. We got like a steak and egg, kind of like a ranchero tower. We've got this green chili pork hash that's insane.
my gosh.
Yeah.
So, good flavors.
I'm fixing to do a brunch article too.
Oh,
for
really?
North Texas. I'm going to definitely be
Yeah,
there.
please come
Yes,
and see us.
please.
I really appreciate y'all coming.
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
So let me know when you do.
I will. I appreciate y'all coming so
Thank you.
much. I enjoyed you so much. I knew I would. I'm just glad you came over here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
thank
you.
Taking us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, guys. So if you're trying to get a hold of us, as you know, every week I tell you, Trey'sChowdown.com. It's got all of our videos, our shows, ABC, Fox, all of our blogs, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Our LinkedIn's now got 10,000 on. LinkedIn's
Nice.
growing like crazy.
That's a big LinkedIn.
It's a big LinkedIn.
Yeah,
and
that's
people, you would not believe the people who are on LinkedIn that go to restaurants in Dallas and Fort Worth where they fly in or whatever.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
I believe it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is one of the most slept on.
Yeah, and I call onto it quick.
Yeah.
So we'll be here next week. 10 a.m. I got Jonathan from Jonathan's Diner. And
Oh, nice.
I like that guy. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Over in Bishop's
Bishop's Art,
yeah.
We'll see y'all next week. Thanks again for watching. Thank y'all very
thank
much.
you.
I appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it.
I'm Trey Chapman, publisher of Trey'sChowdown.com. I'm passionate about finding the best food, drinks, and chefs and sharing it all with you. I should know I have over 5 decades of food experience. Find me on any podcast platform, Facebook Live, or just Google me. Now you can watch and listen to all my great finds every week on my live TV and radio podcast at Trey's Chowdown Live.